Hello my dear subscribers. Today we are assembling the Regal Geometry necklace. I'm going freehand with my camera at the moment just to give you an overview. As you can see, I have completed about 3/4 of it just to give you an overview of what we are doing, and then I'll explain step by step how to create these connection points between the 6 motifs that we beaded in the previous tutorial. So these pearls here, they're just a serving suggestion. I prefer my necklace without them, but I'll go into that option also. So here it is, just to give you an overview. Here I put together a couple of clasps that might go with it, but the shade doesn't quite go with them, so I'll probably end up creating a toggle clasp to go through one of these loops. And you'll see that our connections, they are created in a way as to turn the motifs relative to each other. And here we have a long line, and there is a reason for it, because this is a fitted necklace that is going to fit very nicely for a neck between 12 and 14 inches in circumference. And the only things you might want to adjust are the length here, and so where you'll make that turn. So you'll see there's two special cells that are turning. And the reason it's made this way, because as it hugs around your neck, as you can see, so it would go like this, and it will fit perfectly around your neck this way, and just close up neatly, so nothing is moving around, and it should sit very nicely and, well, neatly around your neck. So there we are. I hope you like the overview of this. So let me clip in my camera so that we can start with the tutorial. Right, a few notes before I begin. You'll see that here I made these cells, which are 4 beads at the top, 5 on the side, and 6 at the bottom. That's why we have this kind of curvature happening here. And that's what we've done between each of these elements. Then from the last element, we have 5 at the top, 5 on the side, and 5 at the bottom. And then there's just slight kind of, I don't know, embellishments, I suppose, different weave to create an interesting look every other cell. And then here we turn around again. So this part where I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 5x5 cells, you might need to see based on kind of the width of your neck. So if your neck is bigger than 14 inches, you might want to extend and add one more 5x5 square here before this turning point. Okay, the turning point consists of 2 cells of 4x5 by 6x5. Okay, and then at the back I made 3 cells of 5x5 beads, with the middle one with like that extra embellishment. And for my neck, this is enough. And my neck is like about 13 inches, so this necklace will fit me perfectly. So if yours is, well, you'll need to kind of go along and as you make it, try it around your neck and decide where you want to put this turning point, and whether you need some extra cells added at the back in order to, you know, make, well, you need to leave some space for the clasp also, but so yes, you'll have to make those adjustments as you go along. But as you can see, it's not a very complicated assembly. Just another note, these two, the central piece, the 2 central pieces that are kind of placed horizontally, they're joined together at the 5th bead from the corner. So all I did is put five 11/0 Tohos in between. I went around them several times, went further along to the 5th bead from the edge here and 5th bead from the edge here, and then I joined, you know, these are just straight lines, there's nothing complicated about these. And then here I included these drops once again from the 5th bead from the corner or the edge of our component. Where I included 11/0 alternating with some pearls. So I have here 3 3mm pearls, 3 4mm pearls, and 3 6mm pearls. On this side, I wanted the look to be a little asymmetrical, so I included 3 3mm pearls, 2 4mm pearls, and 2 6mm pearls. Okay, so let's get to our forming our cells. So we need to join this element onto here. So at first we make these turning points. So we start by creating this kind of cell of 4 beads at the top, 5 beads on the side, and 6 beads at the bottom. So for that we need 15 11/0s. Okay. So, oh, yeah, I haven't mentioned, the connection points for all these cells are from the 3rd bead from the edge, okay? So this is our corner bead 1, then we have 2, and then the 3rd bead. So we come out of the 3rd. And then with these 15 beads, we go into the 3rd bead from this edge, okay? I hope that's visible here. So let's go into the 3rd bead here. So here we have our loop. Don't worry about, we'll straighten it out and assign the 4 beads to the top and 6 beads to the bottom. So for now we just went through this 3rd bead from the bottom edge of the motif. So now we're going to go through all these beads again, just through all of them. You can go through them gradually, or if you can in one go. Make sure to tighten the loop so we don't have any sort of like loose threads. So the beads need to be nice and tight against each other. Okay, so our thread is coming out at the bottom of this bead, so we're going to go through the top and to the bottom once again. Careful, watch out that the thread does not get caught on other beads. So now to make that cell, we're going to go through just 4 of the beads of this loop, just 4. Okay, here we are. So this is what it looks like at this time. Now what we are going to do is pick up 5 beads. And why 5 beads? Because we have 1 bead sitting here. Oh, sorry. We have this 1 bead sitting above our 5 side beads here. Okay, so we pick up 5 beads. Okay, 5 11/0 Tohos. 2, 3, 4, 5, and we pick up the other element, and we're going to go into the 3rd. It doesn't matter which side you go through, but the 3rd bead from the edge on the short side of the motif, okay, because we want them all, you know, oriented this way. So let's see if I can get it through. Okay, there we are. Okay, so this is what we have at this point. Okay, we had 5 beads. Now we're going to turn around and go through just 4 of those 5 beads. Okay, it's not easy. That's why I actually beaded most of it, because it's easier to just explain than to show. It's not really very complicated because we're just creating these sort of loops, square loops or trapezoidal loops between the motifs. Okay, so we've gone through the 4 beads at the top. Now we need to go through the 5 beads on the side. So we leave that bead, you know, the first of the 5 beads that we picked up, we leave it alone. And we're going to go through the 5 beads, which will be our side beads. Okay, did I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yes. Okay, and remember, we pull tight, so you'll see this middle bead is just gonna sit above these 5 side beads. Okay, and now you probably guessed we need to pick up 6 beads and then go through the 3rd bead away from the edge here. Okay, so let's do this. 1, 2. Since these are perma finish beads, careful with some of the holes can be either a little tight or completely blocked, so beware of those. So there we are, we have 6 beads. Okay, and then we're going to go into the 3rd bead here from the bottom edge. Okay, so there we are. So once we've gone through this 3rd bead, we're going to go back through these 6 beads again. Hopefully you're getting the idea of what is happening now. Probably for a lot of more experienced beaders, just this whole assembly is very straightforward. But if you haven't done stuff like this, I hope these explanations are clear. And now, just like we did at the top with that extra bead that sits above these 5 beads, we need to put a bead that will sit below these 5 beads. So we went through 6 beads here. Now we need to pick up another Toho 11, and then we're gonna go into the 6 beads right after. So we're still going through kind of the bottom edge of these 2 cells that we have just formed. Okay, so here we are, right? So this is what we've done at this point. Now you'll notice I have like little embellishments here. You don't have to, you can leave your cells as they are, but I prefer to have just, it adds a little interest, and it's not very complicated to do, because all we do from this point, once we've got through the 6 bottom beads of the first cell that we created, we are going to go up these beads until we are coming out of the 5th bead from the top edge. Okay, 1. There. See here, we're coming out of the 5th bead. I'll show it closer. My thread is still pretty long to make the chain for the 2nd half of the necklace. Okay, so we have here, let's see if you can see it here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We came out of the 5th bead. Okay, now here at the top we have those 4 beads, and we're not going to go through the first one. Well, first of all, we're going to pick up an Toho 11, and we're going to skip that first of the 4 beads here, and we're going to go into the last 3 of these 4 beads on top. Okay, so let me, okay, there, we've gone through the last 3 beads. Okay, and this is how, see here we created this corner. Like I said before, this is optional, you don't have to do that. I'll discuss various other options for embellishments if you want, but I wanted to keep my necklace as kind of as simple as possible, but so it's still quite interesting to wear. So now we've gone through we went through the middle bead here, okay, and then we went through the 3 beads of these 4 top beads of this cell. Now we're gonna pick up another 11-0. Let me get one, okay, and then we're going to go into the 5th bead from the top edge. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 5th bead, and then go down to the 3rd, out of the 3rd bead from the bottom edge of the necklace. So it's, if it's clear, I can rotate it this way, okay. So this is top and this is bottom edge of the necklace. Okay, so there we are. And at this point, what I like to do is reinforce quickly this bottom row, because at this point our turning point cells are done, okay. So we're just gonna go through all these 13 beads, so 6 beads of the bottom of this cell, middle bead, and 6 beads of the bottom of this cell, okay. It just reinforces them, gives them that extra durability. And then we'll go, okay, I went through 5 there, so I'll need to go through one more. Okay, one more bead here. Okay, there. Okay, and then we tighten it so it's like nice and tight. Now we're gonna go through this 3rd bead from the bottom edge here, okay, and it doesn't matter, you can go from below, from above, it really doesn't matter. And then back through all these beads again. Okay, bear with me. It's starting to get quite tight at this point. I'm just going to take this off the camera because it's very tricky to have it so tight and to have the camera between me and the beadwork. So keep going through these beads. Okay, so that's our turning point. So there we are. You'll see how that looks. Then, yeah, I'm not gonna show how to make these drops because that's easy. You just go down the pearls, you pick up this 11-0, then go back into the pearls and around and just weave your thread in. I'm sorry. With this rectangle, that's the one that we had 95 inches of thread for. That's what I needed that extra thread for here, was for these dangles. And of course, if you're using Fireline, you know, they're not going to be very flexible. So you might want to switch to Nymo or KO or 1G. It's up to you. I mean, one of the reasons I use Hercules is because it's so flexible for it creates rigid structures, but it also gives nice and kind of like flexible fringe. So Yes, so you'll go around, you'll create these dangles, then you'll connect at those 2 points with 5 Tohos on each end, this component to this, and then, you know, it's very simple connection here. I don't think it's worth going into. So now, having done this, the 2 cells for the turning, I'm gonna go down towards, like, I'm gonna go into this third, let me see if you can see, into this third bead from the edge in the downward direction towards kind of the bottom edge of the necklace. Yeah, my bead works pretty tight, so it's not always easy. Okay, let's go through the third one first, and then I'll go through the back. Something with my throat today. I hope it's not another cold. Okay, once again, I have to take this off. I apologize. Let's see. Sometimes it helps having some nylon jaw pliers. I also put cream. You probably know I don't usually put cream on my hands, but today I put on cream, so it makes my fingers extra slippery. Okay, let's go one by one. That's fine. Okay, now I need to go around the whole bottom edge of this component. And this way. Yeah, I think this is the last time I'm putting on cream before doing a tutorial. I don't know, it's just I was looking at some of my older videos and my hands are always so dry. Well, never mind. Let's try it today. We'll just persevere. And as long as you're clear with how I'm finishing up this tutorial. Yeah, so I'm just working my way through the bottom edge of this component. And so I've shown you how to make the turning point, and now I'm going to show you how to make these cells in a sort of straight edge with like this varying. It's very, I mean, if you understood how I made the turning point, you'd also be able to make these as well. But anyway, let's make a few of these and then we'll carry on. Okay, so once again, I want to come out of the third bead from the edge. Okay, here. It doesn't matter whether you're coming out from the third bead from the bottom edge or the top edge, because what matters is the count of this cell. So at this point we're going to be adding 5 per side. Okay, so that's once again we pick up 15. I mean, technically, whether it's for turning point cells or for the straight cells, we always start by picking up 15 Tohos. So 1, 2. Sometimes try to keep thread on the beads that are as regular as possible, because Tohos they can vary in size quite a bit. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Right. Let's check our count. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And once again, we go into the third bead from the top edge. If you're coming out of the top edge, then you go through the third bead of the bottom edge, obviously. So there we are. Now at this point, to make this, what we'll do is we're not going to go through all these beads again. We're just going to go through 5, the last 5 that we picked up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we'll tighten them together. And now we're going to do this modified right angle weave like before, when we were forming the, like those were basically 1 by 1 cells, and these are 5 by 5 cells. Okay, so once again we pick up, well, first we start with that middle bead, okay, that we're not gonna go through again, so we can slide that down, and then we pick up 15 beads again. Let me bring them over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we'll go through the 5 beads that are the 5 middle beads of this first loop. Okay, so that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go just through these 5, okay, like so. And then remember that first bead, we skip it, okay, we just skip past it, and then we go through the next 5 beads. And you'll see we have almost fully formed 2 5 by 5 cells. Okay, so once again we pick up 1, and you'll make as many cells as you need. In my case, I needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 7, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 along the edge. Yeah, that's what I did in my case. So for 13-inch circumference, this necklace is gonna fit perfectly. You might want to extend this straight line and make, I know, 8 or 9 even cells that are in a straight line before you make that turn. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's the 2 turning cells, which are basically 4 beads on the inner side of the circumference and 6 beads on the outer side of the circumference. And you'll see once again there's also that middle bead, and then we do 6 beads. Then it's always on the side, it's always 5, okay? And then for the back, if your neck is, once again, like you feel like you need a longer length, then instead of 3, you could add, 4, 5, however many cells you like. So in this case, just to make this tutorial a little shorter, so I don't bore you with all the kind of same details, I'm just going to make 3 of these straight cells. You already know how to make the curved cells, so we'll just make three straight cells, and I'll show you how to do that embellishment in the every other cell. This embellishment here, okay, like you see it's in every other cell. It's in this cell, this cell, this cell. Okay, so we did 5. We inserted 1 bead to go above the 5 side beads. And then once again we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, once again 15 beads. So once again, we go through the 5 middle beads of the previous loop. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. These 5 beads, okay. Then we skip that first bead that we picked up, and we're gonna go through the 5 beads after it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So at this point, I would just carry on and make, you know, all 7 of my cells. But since I want to show you how to, so imagine this would be our last bead of the necklace. So what you would do is you would place the corner beads here. Suppose I can just remove these later. So imagine is this last 3 beads that we are, last 3 cells that we are working on. So we went through 5, then we pick up 1 Toho, we go through 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, here. So we've created like that corner bead, and then we'd pick up another Toho and we go through 5 again. Okay, there, I'm going through 5 here. So now we want to place the beads in the middle here, because like we did at the top of the loops, you know, above the 5 side beads, we put a middle bead. Here we need to place a middle bead also. So we pick up 1 and then we go through the 5 bottom beads, you know, of the next cell. Okay. And then here you would put another middle bead and then, you know, turn around and, you know, your necklace will be done. Unless you want to do embellishment. If you want to do the embellishments, you're going to come out through 4 beads here. So we usually, with these embellishments, I didn't do one right next to the motif. I did it in the one after the motif and then skipped one, then did it in the cell after, and, you know, every other cell. So we come out of the 4th bead on the side and we pick up 1 Toho 11-0 and we go through the 3 beads of these 5 at the top. Okay, here, let me show you. Once I tighten them here, this is what we'll have. Now we're gonna pick up another Toho and we'll go through the 3 middle beads of the 5 side beads here. This is completely optional if you want to do this embellishment. Okay, and then we pick up another Toho and we go through the 3 middle beads of the 5 below the cell. Okay, so this is what we have, and you guessed it, we just need to pick up 1 more Toho and we go through the 3 on this side here. Now, for those of you who liked that pearl look, having, you know, having a pearl in these beads, I have some 6mm pearls that will fit perfectly in this. So if you wanted, I prefer without it, but if you prefer with them, all you need to do for that is, here we're coming out of the 3 beads on the side, 3 middle beads on the side. We're going to go back into that Toho that we picked up before. Just going to go into it. We're going to pick up the pearl, the 6mm pearl. and then we go into the Toho kind of diagonally opposite in the cell. If I can get my needle in there. There we are. Okay, so there we are. Okay, and what you'll do is you'll go back and forth through that pearl to really secure, and then you can have yourself a necklace that, you know, looks like it's with these pearl embellishments. Okay, if you want that. I prefer to keep my kind of cells clear because, I don't know, that's the look I prefer. And that's basically it. I hope these explanations are enough for you to put the necklace together. And like I explained in the back here, you'll just need to make sure that you calculate it just right, because once it sits around your neck, this curve here, when placed, you know, right around, you can even feel it. There's like a muscle on either side of the neck at the back, so you only need to go up to that side, and so it's going to be here, and then you turn, and here it'll be just perfect for, you know, the clasp. And then I'm going to make the same, going to carry on and make the cells on the other side to match those. So while it's lying down, it's going to look a little peculiar, but when it goes around your neck, it's going to really hug it. And yeah, because with necklaces like this, one of the things that I don't like is that they slide around too much as you're wearing them, whereas this way it really sits very nice and snug. So yeah, this is actually a very, very old, one of the older models that I made, and in those days I was actually bezeling around some crystals, and I think they were 18 by 13 crystals. So I thought I'd give it a try and make this model with this 14 by 10 crystals and settings. So here we are. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you'll wear it. I'm sure it'll be like a beautiful necklace for, well, for any fancy occasion, or if you prefer feeling fancy while just vacuuming around the house. So anyway, thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you for watching. And more than anything, I hope this was useful and that you enjoyed it. And see you soon. Bye.